crazy. It's already Thursday. It's another episode of Red Sox Now. It's the first week of September. Hope you're having a great week and looking forward to the weekend here in New England. I don't know if you've been here, but the fall is the best. It's my favorite season. Pretty pumped for it. But this is all presented by FanArch right here on YouTube. We have killed it with subscriptions, the subs, whatever you want to call them. The cool people call them subs. So keep it going. We're now inching towards 1,800 subscribers. I think we're at 1,720, but, close to 1,800 and the goal of 3,000 on the last game of the year for the Red Sox. That's what I'm hoping for. 3,000 that, go for 4, 10. That'd be great. But appreciate it. Your comments are outstanding. I'm adding a little twist on the comments. We will do a fourth that's not really a question, because you guys and gals send things about going to games and just general things. And I thought, you know what? Let's throw one of those in. So we'll do that as well in honor of one of my great friends, DJ Abasella. This is the hat today. Wheeling Nailers in Wheeling, West Virginia. Oh, my God. I use my R here in Massachusetts. ECHL Hockey. DJ's a real good friend of mine. Worked for me in Portland. Not really as one of my interns. He was kind of, I don't know what to qualify DJ. DJ helped at the studio when I was the broadcaster in Portland, but did play-by-play. He was more than an intern. He worked at the concession stand. He watches this. Hopefully he's watching today, but in honor of DJ, and I got my TC Army shirt. Someone had said to me, if I send you a hat, most random hat, would you wear it on an episode? And I said, yeah, of course. Well, obviously within reason. I'm not going to wear your company unless you pay. We can do that. You could have sponsored hats. See, that's the minor league Mike in me as well. Thinking I will be with the Woo Sox tonight on radio. Shane Drowan is pitching. I'm interested to see him because he was a guy that was Rule 5 by the White Sox, and then he was returned. He was a guy that the Red Sox really liked. The White Sox really liked him, sent him back. He's been hurt most of the year. He's been pretty good, and he'll be on the mounds. They, by the way, almost got no hit by Kenta Maeda last night, who I think went 7 and 2. Yeah, 7 and 2/3 hitless. 37-year-old big leaguer carving up AAA hitters. That tells you all you need to know about that level. You get a guy like Maeda, who's struggled in the big leagues. Is pitching in AAA with a Yankees affiliate for some depth, and he was unbelievable last. I wasn't there. I was watching both games. That's what I do, the iPad and the TV. So, yeah, that Red Sox game, big thumbs down. They did win the series, but wow, that was not fun. Certainly not fun. They lose 8-1. There was some positives. Romy Gonzalez. Now, I tweeted this earlier. 12 for his last 29 over the last week, 5 multi-hit games. He had 2 more hits in the game. Romy's becoming more 13 for 29, last 7. More of non-platoon. That's a thing that, you've looked for some other guys to step up, right? I think he's definitely one who stepped up. You had 7 hits, 2 more errors. Duran made an error. The Wong error was so obvious, and if you saw that catcher's interference, because he stopped and then backed up into Jose Ramirez, it was the right call. No argument by Cora, and the umpire was all over that. But that was tough. I mean, obviously, you get down in the big leagues 7-0 after 2 innings. I think the probability of coming back is probably 1%. Jordan Hicks was terrible. And the one thing that I don't love about this situation is Will Middlebrooks was talking about this, is that they're trying to have him figure things out right now because they are rebuilding him, so to speak, with new grips, new pitches and all that. But like I've said before, with the younger guys, with the position players, I don't want them figuring it out during a pennant race. Now, I know the options are dwindling with all the injuries, and maybe if Fitz and Criswell were healthy, Hicks might be in AAA. or even Harrison. We don't know. There's a lot of guys that have been hurt. And I know from necessity, you needed bodies in that game last night, but I'm not a fan of guys trying to figure it out in the big leagues. And, I think this has gone on long enough where it's not working. I don't think there's any truth to, he's only in the big leagues. They're only keeping him up there because of the trade. That's not true. He started in AAA. Some of the options that they've used that have been called up haven't been much better. But I don't think Craig Breslow, who played the game, is going to do that right now. It's just a lot of limited options, but I think they will make a move when they can. So we'll get to some more stuff in just a few minutes, but give Cleveland credit. They lost the first 2 games. They came out swinging and scored those 6 runs in the second inning. And, boy, they hit a lot of home runs in that series. They did it to Crochet, and they got another one last night from Arias. So not a great game. That guy Cantillo was pretty good. 7 strikeouts. He kept throwing that curveball, that big 12-6 hammer, which looks to be back in it. Guys who had hits last night, Wong had a hit. Sogard thought he had a couple good at-bats, had an RBI, had the lone RBI. Nate Eaton was 1 for 3, but hit the ball hard right away. That was kind of the foreshadowing the night when he hit that ball and who was it? Martinez made that leaping catch. That's how your offense began. And that was pretty much it. Romy had 2 hits. Ref Snyder had another hit. And Duran had a hit as well and a walk. The Red Sox were 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. I thought they had some chances early, but, down 7-0. Got to turn the page. Now you're off today and in Arizona and in Sacramento, which from the casual fan, we have casual fans out there. And people who are in baseball that might be watching this can understand the absurdity of things that happen in this game. The fact that Major League Baseball, or I think it was the A's as well, that you cannot call them Oakland. I get, okay. You should, at the end of the day, I think the city doesn't want it, and that you can't call them Sacramento is the dumbest, is beyond absurdity. Why the city of Sacramento did not hop on this, I don't know if Major League Baseball holds more branding rights, and they couldn't figure something out. I know there's a AAA team playing there right now. There might be some confusion. So call it Sacktown. I don't know. But the fact that you have a team that cannot have a first name it just really, if you step back, a casual fan is like, why, right? I mean, the fact they couldn't figure this out. You need to have your city. You need to have 2 names. For those that don't know, they're only going by the Athletics. I don't even think they're going by the A's. They're playing in a minor league ballpark, but now I thought $ with branding rights that you could have had Sacramento A's and make a limited edition stuff, but they couldn't get that going. All right, this is not me. You guys and gals know me enough. This is not a contrarian take at all. This is just my thoughts of the time, comparing the Bregman injury to Roman Anthony. And I know you can have a lot of arguments that tell me, well, at the end of the year, yes, all of that. But let's go back to the time that this happened. Because I can remember thinking, that's it. I was like that. When Bregman got hurt, think about what we were told. 12 weeks. And I didn't think he was coming back 4 to 5 weeks earlier. At his age, you lost a superstar, an established superstar who impacts the game in a variety of ways. More than Anthony. Is that fair? I mean, it is what it is. He's a third baseman that plays Gold Glove defense. He's a Gold Glove third baseman. He's a veteran. At the time you were not hitting great. Right? The injury happened, and actually you scored 19 runs in the game he got hurt in. Toro went in and actually pitched. You were 26-26 that day. So through 51 games with Bregman, and I'm not saying that Well, it didn't matter of course it mattered. But he played in that game May 23rd. You were at 500. 500. What did you think was going to happen when he got hurt on May 23rd? Honestly. I mean, I can go back and look at the comments from the show the day he got hurt. I know I was in the camp of, this is going to kill him at the time. May 23rd, you're 500. You lose a guy for 3 months. It's over, right? That was the whole stuff with Devers and everything. You went on to lose 9 of 13. Season looked, I remember all of you, they went from 26, after that injury to Bregman. They actually won the next day. But they were 30 and 35 on June 6th, still staring into the barrel of 10 and a half weeks without Bregman. What were you thinking at the time? Right? That to me is way worse than this situation because there's no hope. All right, he's gone 10 more weeks, 2.5 more months. And you lost that first game in New York, and then you went on a run that was crazy. They won 8 of 10, 10 of 12. You had the Devers trade in there as well, right? What in the world are we doing? Trade Devers, you're only one game over 500. You went into a tailspin. You lost, 6 in a row, 7 of 8. Then on June 29th, you're staring down a barrel of 41 and 44 with 9 to 10 weeks, we thought, without Bregman. So you think about that stretch of 43 games they were without Bregman. They still went 24 and 19 somehow. They still hit 255, which was 8th in Major League Baseball. They scored the 3rd most runs in Major League Baseball during that time they lost Bregman. Now, does that correlate to Anthony? No. I certainly think about that. Well, but think about how impactful at that point. At that point, you weren't really thought about as a playoff team. Or at least now, and it's horrible that he's out, your odds are really good you're still going to be in the playoffs. And Will Middlebrooks talked about it, the fact that if the Red Sox just played 500 the rest of the year, which we don't want, Seattle would have to be 17 and 5. Now, they are on a huge tailspin right now. With the additions of Naylor, who's been good, and Suarez, they're not pitching anymore. With a really good staff, it has really gotten bad there. I follow them religiously because I know Aaron Goldsmith, one of their broadcasters, so I like to follow them. But they made a lot of moves. They would not give up any pitching, which I didn't think they should. On paper, they're looked upon as one of the top teams in baseball, and they're only a game and a half ahead of Texas. And now, with Tampa Bay kicking their butt, the Rays are only 2.5 out. I mean, it's crazy where last week I didn't think any of the 6 teams were moving. Now, Red Sox and Yankees have a 4.5 game lead. That's a lot. That is a lot. With 21 games to go, that is a lot, and it's 6 in the loss column. That's a lot. 6 in the loss column over Texas, Kansas City, Tampa, and Cleveland. So the Red Sox are going to be a playoff team. So my point is, when you lost Bregman, Abraham Toro was the guy. And what were we thinking then? And then the Devers, it was not a good feeling. And I was right there first in line thinking, this is going to be horrible. The fact that we thought it was going to be 12 weeks. And if it was, think about that. Think about if, let's see, when Bregman came back July 11th. You started to win, let's go from July 11th to August 11th. You won 15 of 25. And maybe if Bregman did not come back earlier, in those series against, and you could see why he did. Came back with Tampa, Chicago, the Cubs, Phillies, Dodgers, remember that gauntlet, Minnesota, Houston, Kansas City. He had a San Diego and at Houston. He had a chance to miss that entire month. You don't think that he knew that? What would that extra month have done if he was out 12 weeks? A lot of you saying, well, they could have been, yeah, you're right, they could have won more. Probably not. Odds are, even if they had won 3 or 4 less games and were, 11 in 15, their record would be, they'd still be a playoff team. But my point is, at the time, the Bregman injury I thought was catastrophic and was going to probably lead to some bad because of that position, because of third base, putting Toro there, who was not a great third baseman, and losing the guy, your guy. He was your guy. Even though Devers was still on the team, Bregman was the guy. Now this is, but let's flash forward. It definitely hurts. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just comparing at the time. And there can be an argument made, well, it's the end of the season. They're trying to win yes, all of that is true. All of that is true. But their probability of still being in the playoffs with the Anthony injury is higher than when they lost Bregman. When they lost Bregman, a lot of people wrote them off. Forget it. That's done. Gold Glove, third base, clutch hitter, leader, you're out. So you got to try to get through this. And I'm with Cora. As harsh as it is, you got to move on. You have to. And you need Abreu back. You get Abreu back, and it's Duran, Rafaela, Abreu, and Yoshida. That, to me, is not as bad as when you were running Toro out there at third base and no Bregman. And then when you had Devers gone, you had no Devers. I'm not holding out hopes he's going to be back, to be honest with you. And I'm not trying to be harsh. It just, Cora did not, and I'm nitpicking here, but this is one little thing that I'm a stickler with. Cora was on WEI. I heard the interview, and everyone kind of, to me, misquoted him. He said there's no timetable, but usually those injuries take 4 to 6 weeks. He didn't say he was out 4 to 6 weeks. He just threw out there that's usually what it takes. But we don't know. We don't know the extent of it. And I think if it was longer, they wouldn't say anything. And I've had people argue with me about that. I got a few messages when I said that and said, well, that, you're not, it was the Abreu thing when I said that they were a little tight-lipped on that when I could kind of tell that Cora knew. This is a couple weeks ago. I knew it was more than he was leading on to. And they have to do that at times because they don't want to create mass panic, which happens here. If they said right now Anthony has no chance of playing, what would, can you imagine? So they, and all medical people aren't going to do that anyways because the body, everybody's body's different. No one thought Bregman could do what he did. I don't even think it's the training staff. And Cora at times said, oh yeah, he's saying that. Remember Cora saying that? So the fact he said no timetable, I'm not even putting 4 to 6, to be honest. You have to just kind of, think that it's probably not going to happen. And you need guys to step up. Now, listen, for the crowd that thinks that the season's over, then you don't believe in their starting pitching then. If you're going to say that, then you don't believe in Crochet, Bayo, Giolito, and Tolle. This is why I've said constantly, you can get through stuff like this if you pitch. If you don't pitch, and yeah, they have a hole at the 5 spot, which, I mean, the 5th starter is not going to be in the playoffs. And let's see if Fitz and Criswell, maybe Connolly Early's a guy. Harrison's hurt. Let's see if, they'll like I've said, they'll make adjustments like they have. But that's certainly an issue of concern, and they'll figure that out. They'll have to make changes quick. But I still believe in their pitching. They're going to have to win a little bit differently now. And, a lot of teams have gone through this year. I mean, it's crazy, the injuries. Um, so let me know your thoughts on that. And I want to go back to the day Bregman was hurt, and I'm interested to see my reaction. But I know I can remember I was really down on that and thought 12 weeks. We just got this guy, and think about one more thought on this. How many more tests? Like, we get it. Okay, this is the year of adversity for them, right? I mean, it started with Casas, and then Houck and Crawford, and Devers leaving, and Bregman hurt, Anthony hurt. Pitcher after pitcher after pitcher. I mean, piecing it together, lineups with Toro and having to play Sogard a lot, and Wong not hitting, and then him hurt a little bit. Like, they've gone through a lot. And maybe the no timetable for Anthony is a similar thing to Bregman, that he's back in 3 weeks. Let's see. I know so if I hear anything about that, I certainly will pass it along on the show. Hey, this was a little thing, and I understand the score was where it's at, but that doesn't mean to discredit Zach Kelly. It's not easy pitching in the big leagues. It doesn't matter what the score is. Like, the Cleveland guys are still up there trying to. Their approach is not different. I used to hear this a lot. Well, it's easy to pitch when the game's out. No, it's not. That's like high school, little league stuff. Not in the big leagues. It's not easy. And the fact that Zach Kelly threw 4 innings last night. He threw 63 pitches, which he's probably going to get sent back down. I don't know if he's ever done that. And is this a new role for him? Yeah, that's a career high for this year. Let's see, Mr. Kelly. A lot of guys are starters when they're in the minor leagues. So he was a starter before. And his longest outing since 2019. Wow. So think about this. And I was thinking about this last night watching the game. I had no inclinations that he was going to throw more than 1 or 2 innings. And the fact that he looked really good. He threw 45 of 63 pitches for strikes. And he went 4 innings. That is big if he can be that kind of guy. He looked fine. Carried velocity into that 4th inning. And what a crazy, crazy thing this would be if he ended up being a reliever you could count on, or maybe he gets a start. Or they go with the Bernardino, then Zach Kelly. He'll probably go back down. But I was really blown away at his outing. And I don't think you should discredit him going 4 innings. But could he have a new role? I think so. And I don't know if that was the plan. I doubt it, because they were probably expecting more from. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know, because Hicks was probably not going to go that much longer, either with Matz. The fact that they used May after Kelly. So that, to me, is, I don't know. Will Middlebrooks thought that maybe if the game was different, May would have come in ahead of Kelly, but May needed work. So this is very intriguing and something that we should, look out for. All right, let's wrap up the show with your comments. At Fred Gabori, 5080. I think Breslow really likes Campbell. Cora too. It's Cora as well. And gave him the contract to take him off the block at the deadline. I don't think so. This is something they wanted to do. And they're filling in the gaps with his development, as they've been saying in Worcester. So they've been, if you think about this, their track record with position players through every different executive has been pretty darn good. If you think about it, you got a lot of rookies playing right now. And a lot of young guys that have panned out. Right now, there's a hiccup. It's not that he's not panned out. It's just that a little bump in the road. At Dave Smith, 94.30. If I'm not mistaken, Crochet is pushing past his longest season. Yep. Could be showing signs of fatigue, question mark. Maybe should skip a start. Your thoughts? I don't think he's having fatigue. And I only say this because his fastball the other night, 95 to 97. He topped out at 99. That's not a fatigue guy. Sinker, 94, 96, topped out at 97. His cutter topped out at 92. Everything was on par. He was just off. It's a mental game too, you know? It's mental. And he missed with a few pitches. I think you could question those pitches in that situation. Last 4 home runs the Red Sox have given up, and this happened early in the year that bugged the you-know-what out of me. The last 4 have been on non-fastballs. Last night, the hanging sweeper. Jordan Hicks throws 100, and he throws a hanging backup slider or sweeper to a guy that's not a great hitter. But, again, it's easy to sit here and, but I still think you should get beat with your best pitch, especially if you're Crochet. But we'll see. I know he's not been as sharp in a couple starts. There was starts early in there he wasn't either, even in April where he walked 5. It's just – but I'm not opposed to skipping him because you're going to be a playoff team. But, yeah, or limiting him. And I think that's probably already in the plans. Who are the backups for Bregman and Story? Good question. I think we saw it last night. Nate Eaton. Sogard for third base. David Hamilton in a pinch. Romy in a pinch. Shortstop, Hamilton, Raffaella, and Sogard. Sogard can play everywhere defensively at a high level. So those are the backups. At Little River Bees OR6QP. That's quite the handle. At Mr. S. Gonzalez. I'm sure, is it Steve? 3419. Greetings, Mike. Went to the game last night. That was a couple nights ago. And had a blast at Fenway. Great. This is the comment that's on it. We're going to do one of these that's just general. Great win for the Sox. Love the environment. Going back to Tampa today, but definitely coming back next year for another series. Was sitting close to home plate and saw Anthony get hurt, leaving the dugout, and didn't have a good feeling about it. Hopefully he can come back soon. Not Crochet's best game, but he will return and dominate again. God bless you. Yeah, God bless you too. Great stuff. I like doing that extra comment now. So send that. I like that. Can we do pictures on the comments? I don't think we can. But I got to I got some, plans for I want to do a live show. I want to do something from Fenway. I got all these grand plans. So that's going to do it. Thursday's an off day. The Red Sox need it. Again, they still have a pretty big lead in the wild card. It's 6. So when people say, well, they're 4.5 back, when you say they have a 4.5 game lead in the wild card, which is what it shows here, but 6 in the loss column. Yes, because Texas has played 141. And the Red Sox have 63 losses. They have 69 losses. So it's 6. It's a 4.5 game lead over Seattle. That's what they're going off. But it's a pretty big lead over those other teams. So 21 left. They're going to be in Arizona. They're going to have Tolly Friday night. We'll talk about it tomorrow as well. Tolly and some other great stuff. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments before you head out. Happy Thursday. I'm Mike Antonellis. Thanks for watching Red Sox Now. Go Sox.